What if everything you were taught about history was flipped? What if, before Europe rose to power, Africa was actually richer, more advanced, and more connected than most of the world? This isn't fiction. This is history most people never hear. Long before modern Europe became dominant, Africa was home to some of the wealthiest and most powerful empires on earth. Take the Mali Empire in the 14th century. Its ruler, Mansa Musa, is often called the richest person in history. Not billionaire richest ever. When he traveled to Mecca, he gave away so much gold that he literally caused inflation in Egypt. And Mali wasn't alone. The Songhai Empire controlled major trade routes across West Africa. Gold, salt, ivory, and knowledge flowed through cities like Timbuktu, a place filled with universities, libraries, and scholars. At a time when much of Europe was still emerging from the Middle Ages, Timbuktu had thousands of manuscripts covering science, astronomy, medicine, and law. Further south, Great Zimbabwe built massive stone cities without mortar structures, so impressive that early Europeans refused to believe Africans built them. In North Africa, civilizations like ancient Egypt had already mastered engineering, medicine, and mathematics thousands of years earlier. But here's the key. Africa wasn't just rich in resources, it was rich in systems. Trade networks connected regions across the Sahara, the Nile, and the Indian Ocean. African merchants traded with the Middle East, India, and even China. Gold from West Africa powered economies far beyond the continent. In fact, much of Europe's early wealth was indirectly tied to African resources. So what changed? If Africa was so wealthy and advanced, why does history often tell the opposite story? The turning point came with colonization. From the 15th century onward, European powers began to exploit Africa's resources and people. The transatlantic slave trade drained millions of lives and destabilized entire regions. Later, colonial rule extracted wealth while dismantling local systems of governance, education, and industry. Over time, the narrative shifted. Instead of recognizing Africa's past strength, history was rewritten to portray it as underdeveloped, a story that ignored centuries of prosperity. Here's the truth. Africa wasn't always behind. In many ways, it was ahead. Understanding this doesn't just change how we see the past, it changes how we see the future. Because a continent that was once a global center of wealth, knowledge, and innovation still has the potential to be one again. The question is, why weren't we taught this sooner?